Welcome in, everybody, to Untold Sports Stories with Gerardo Byrne. Got a special guest with me, my man Aaron Crichton. He is a junior here at Earlham College. He was a football player before our whole football program got suspended. He decided to stay and get his education. We're going to talk about him growing up in the Caribbean and the transformation coming into America, how he got adjusted to sports, how we got into football, how we ended up finding Earlham College, and why he decided to stay after the football program was shut down. Aaron, welcome into the show.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So let's start from the beginning. You are from the Caribbean.
Correct, yeah.
What specific place from the Caribbean you come from?
So I'm from a small island in the Caribbean called St. Vincent and the Grenadines. More in the southern area of the Caribbean. About 100,000 people on the island, man. Real small, real great community, man. I enjoyed my time there. I spent about 15 years of my life right there. Yeah, spent the majority of my life. Now coming to America, like it's kind of wild that I've been here like 5, almost 6 years right now. So I mean, this will show you like time really flies.
Yeah.
Like coming from all over the place. I was actually born in New York, but I spent most of my life in the Caribbean. Then ended up going to high school in California, and now I'm here in Indiana. So I just move all over the place. So
Did you get involved with sports early while you were in the Caribbean?
Yeah, I did. So from a very young age, I started playing tennis. Can't remember like how young, but I just remember seeing some pictures at home, like my parents have. Like I got little me with like a little tennis racket in my hand. So tennis was my very first sport I ever played. I played that like a long time. I stopped for a little bit, then I got back into it again like in my early teen years, and then I had stopped for a while again after that. In between that time, I've also played a little bit of cricket and a little bit of soccer as well too. So try to immerse myself in as many sports as I could, like as a young person. But at the same time, man, like when I was much younger, like I didn't really like want to work out as much. So like, and I think during like I would say like early adolescent years, I was just like I don't want to play sports anymore like that.
Yeah.
So I had that kind of moment. Then as I got older again, I was like, I really want to go back to it again. So yeah.
Was the competition in the Caribbean as fierce as it can get to in America?
In terms of like what, in tennis or
just like all the sports you experienced with.
Yeah. It's very competitive, very competitive. I actually know a couple friends I grew up with. They actually in the U.S. right now on tennis scholarships. Sports is pretty competitive down there, I would say, definitely. Whether it be track and field, swimming. We just had a young man who represented the island in the Olympics, the last Olympics. He's actually at Howard right now on the swim team. Got a couple friends who play tennis as well too. They got scholarships and they play tennis up in the U.S. Forgot what states, but and then I got a few that play soccer as well up here too. So I mean, it's just up to recently like a lot of U.S. universities and stuff like started coming down and like recruiting talent through the Caribbean. Trying to give those youth some opportunities to make something for themselves, definitely.
So you spent 15 years in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
How did you end up in Los Angeles?
So, the year before I was done with our high school, got a little different system in the Caribbean. So the year before I was getting done with high school, I had the opportunity. My parents wanted me to move out. They wanted me to, be able to get a head start and go to college sooner. So I mean, they wanted to give me another chance. Also, I was doing bad in school, so I mean, my grades was not up to where they were. So I mean, they wanted me to get like a fresh start. So I had family who lived in California, and they were grateful enough, to open their doors and allow me to stay with them for about a few years until my parents came up, got themselves organized and stuff like that. So yeah, but basically we parents always wanted to move to the U.S. So they're not citizens as of yet, but they had just gotten their they got their green card or something. Something like that. Yeah. So they wanted to move up here so they could become citizens. So they wanted to take that step. So they wanted me to go up and get a head start, and they figure out themselves for themselves, and then it all worked out pretty well.
You ever look back on what if your parents hadn't sent you to the States? How different maybe the course of where you wanted to head to would be?
I think about that a lot of times. I mean, I would say it would be very, very different. You know, very different. I think for the most part, academically, I probably would have still wanted to be doing the same stuff I want to do right now, because I still have like still have a real passion for like business and finance and stuff like that. I always had that. So I mean, I think that would still always change, but I think I would be a little bit, you know, sad that I never had the opportunity, you know, to touch a football field.
Yeah.
Like, cause I mean, football is just one of the, in my opinion, the greatest sport ever made. So I mean, I think that would have been just real devastating to me if I never was able to get the opportunity to move up here.
Well, speaking of football, you didn't play football while you was in the Caribbean.
No, I did not.
But you come up to Los Angeles. How did you end up getting introduced to the sport of football?
So I got introduced to football through my brothers. My brothers used to watch sports a lot, even before I really got into sports. So my brothers used to watch a lot of basketball, football, and baseball. So I try to immerse myself around it, spend a lot of time with them. So I think I watched one game of football, and I think it was the Steelers playing, and I think I was watching Troy Polamalu play, and I was like, this game is fun. This game was fun. So I ended up continuing watching it. That was actually, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was one of the years that the Giants had won a Super Bowl. And then from that on, like, I kind of was like, I'm going to be a Giants fan. Two reasons. I went off of that, and, like, they had my favorite color, blue. So
okay.
So I just was like, you know what, I'm just rooting for the Giants fan. I've been a Giants fan ever since. Also, yeah, I got introduced to football, like, through that. And then I loved video games. Still do love video games a lot, too. So I ended up getting a football video game, and I was like playing. I was like, dude, this game looks fun. Like I think I'd love to do some stuff like this. So, but yeah, that's kind of like a lot of motivation where I got wanting to play football, and you know I used to watch a lot of videos. I mean, like my pops bought me a football. Like I was probably one of the few people on the island with a football. Like I always walked around with that football, threw it around. Funny story, man. So I had. My dream position, man, was always be a quarterback, man. Always be the quarterback. I always wanted to be that quarterback. But I mean, when I got to high school, man, it was like, I mean, you're a big dude, bro. We'll put you on the line. So I mean, that's where I really got my starting with the offensive line. And now I was just like, you know what, man, I do whatever it takes to get on the field because I mean I love this game. You know, I ended up, you know, I'm gonna get into it later. Like I ended up working hard and, you know, trying to get myself on the field and make an impact in any way I could.
You didn't start football till high school, correct?
Yeah.
What was that like, you know, jumping into a sport that you've seen, but it's a lot different when you play it for the first time and you're coming in high school to where a lot of the kids you're playing with started, you know, in the youth football leagues and stuff. So how did you be able to learn the game kind of quickly in order to get yourself onto the field by the time you were a senior?
Oh, man, you know, I had a great coaching staff around me, you know, a lot of great mentors that were able to, you know, teach me the game, you know, really quick. When it came to football, like, I was a pretty fast learner. I just knew this is something I wanted to do, so, you know, I did all I could do to get where I wanted to be. So I had a coach who lived right down the street from where I was at. I used to work out with him and his son. His son played quarterback with me my senior year. You know, we used to always, you know, always look for the opportunity to work out, whether it be lifting or getting some work on the field, trying to get the footwork right. So, I mean, I was blessed with a great coaching staff around that, you know, were able to help bring me along, you know, because they saw potential in me, so they were able to help bring me along greatly.
And junior year, you didn't play that much, correct?
No, I started the very first game of the season. Okay. I still remember it to this day, man. It was like kind of unreal, man. Like it was Friday night, dark lights. It was my first ever game of football. It was a varsity game. Like it was bright lights, man. I was like, I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing out there, bro. I got a little phased, man. But I remember going in the first drive. We went down the field, scored a touchdown, and you know I felt good. You know I was going into it, but somewhere throughout the lines, like I just started like phasing out and just like I was losing my matchup a little bit, and then like I ended up starting like downing on myself, and then that kind of like knocked me out for a while. So it took a lot of mental toughness because I expected a lot out of myself. So when I didn't get those results at times, like I took it out of myself, and which is not what you want to do. So it took me some time to like work on that and get better at that. But it was definitely great times.
So junior year was more like the learning curve for you?
Yeah, I would say that, yeah.
And then coming into senior year, what did you have in your mind about playing senior year? Did you try to focus on obviously playing your best, but wanted to focus on trying to get recruited, or were you just out there like, what, this could be potentially my last year? What was your thought process like going into your senior year?
So going into the senior year, my thought process was just I wanted to get on the field. I saw things in steps. Like got on the field a little bit junior year, but not as much as I wanted to.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure I could get on the field first. That was priority for myself. So whether that be making sure I was right physically, mentally, and also like intellectually in terms of football. So trying to learn as much as I could. I went to a few camps over that summer. Try to reach out to still when it worked out with coaches. Still always try to find any opportunity I could. Just to get better. Without being mad. I remember nights I used to just be on YouTube just watching like videos on how to block, keys on how to block. Found a whole lot of pages on Instagram and Twitter. I just try to surround myself with stuff that'll make me better. So I felt like that was key, and then I felt like everything else would fall into play after that.
When did you decide you wanted to maybe play football after high school?
So I would say I always had that little want to, because I'd only played one full season, and I was like, I don't think I'm done yet. So I always really I wanted to see where it could take me, So I think during like the last game of the season, we had a playoff game, which was a heartbreaking loss. We fought back. We were down a little bit in the game, and we fought back, but we just was not able to get to the next round. Just remember that bus ride back, man. It was just quiet, man. Guys, sad. It was our last high school game. We don't ever get to put that jersey and pads on again for high school. And for some people, that's the last time they ever got to put the jersey and pads on. So after that, I was like, I took some time off, try to rest my body. I played on a few injuries that year. I had messed my knee up like in the very first game of the season. It was wild, but thankfully I wasn't out for not too long. So I was just healing that. Try to continue to get that better, and then I looked for. I decided that after that year, when I got all my tape together, that I was gonna make a highlight tape. And, I was just gonna like make a Twitter, make an Instagram, try to share that out there. Try to see if I can get myself out there, get myself looks from coaches and stuff like that. So that was really my goal, like from that. So I went to my head coach and my few assistant coaches. I reached out to them, asked them, what teams that you think I could, you could see me, making an impact on. So my coaches gave me a few names. I think he said like Tennessee Tech. I can't remember them off my head right now.
You're good.
So he gave me a few names. So I took those names, found the coaching staff, sent them out an email, sent my highlight tape, sent my measurables in it, and then I did that probably like I did a few of those every night for like about months. Like I try to make sure I was right. So coaches could definitely want to see something in me.
Yeah, I feel that. What was your process in recruiting? Because somebody who's maybe come from the Caribbean don't know a lot about recruiting. You say your coach gave you a few schools where you can make an impact, but I'm sure you wanted to get your tape out to as many schools as possible. So what was your process on sending out your stuff?
So, I had dreams and aspirations of going D1. So
of course.
But that ain't for really everybody. I didn't get no callbacks from any of those schools, but I ended up going on Wikipedia and I found a list of all schools like Division II, Division III, NAIA, even Division I AA, and I looked up all the schools. I sorted it by state, and I looked at states that I wouldn't, mind being in. Being in California, there's only like D3s and D1s over there. So I looked into a few of the D3s over there. Found their coaching staff. Found their offensive line coach. If they had any information on the offensive line coach or recruiting coordinator or offensive coordinator, send them an email. Ended up looking at states from all over the country, whether it be like Jersey, New York, Florida, Texas. I was trying to immerse myself like with any opportunity I could get. So I ended up sending out like close to 100-some emails during that time in that second semester of my senior year. So unfortunately didn't hear back from no big time schools. So that's all good. Ended up hearing back from a few. Heard back from a lot of D3s, a lot of NAIAs, and heard back from one D2, but like I just never like I tried to send them an email back after that, but we just never followed up after that. So, but I ended up hearing back from a lot of D3s. So a lot of the recruiting I did, like after getting help from my coaches, I kind of put it on myself, to try to make myself more marketable. So, formatted emails, sent out Twitter highlight tapes. I followed a lot of pages on Twitter that that shout out recruits and stuff like that. So ended up following a few of those pages, and I asked them to share my information, and they did. And I got a few coaches hitting me up from that. So it was all around it was a great experience. I'm not even gonna lie, like recruiting in high school, it was pretty fun.
You mentioned, you sent out 100 emails, Twitter. A couple coaches hit you up on that. I remember a story you told me about how you ended up meeting Coach Johnson, and it was at a showcase you went to.
Yeah. So one of the camps I ended up going to my senior year was a California showcase. Really, really huge camp that basically they offer like a multitude of D3 schools, multitude of JUCOs, I think, and as well as NAIA schools. They had came through, and they wanted to find some talent that was in California. So it was specified for high school seniors, just trying to look for a school to play ball. So it was a great experience. Me and about two of my teammates took the trip out there. So we went out there and competed, and we just try to see where where we could be fit, where we could be founded at. I ended up being with the second group of offensive linemen, I think, that was there. Had so many people from every single position. So I was with the second group of offensive linemen, and Coach Johnson came to me I think right before we started doing one-on-ones. No, my bad. He came to me after after the whole showcase was over. Pretty much like when we got done with the last drill. They gave us numbers on the back of our shirts that they gave us, so the coaches beforehand, they could see information on students. They could decipher, okay, whether they think this player could be suitable for their program. So Coach Johnson saw my number. Coach Johnson called me over. And he decided to tell me, he wanted to tell me I would like to see you after here. So we had a little meeting, breakout with the overall coaches that were running the whole event. And so right after that, I try to make sure, I went to go see Coach Johnson. He was the only coach that actually came up to me personally and asked me to come see him. I went up to after the whole event was over. They had booths, so you felt free to go. Check out any school you wanted to. You could, get information on them. Leave your card, leave your stuff on them, and try to just make sure you could better yourself recruited. So I ended up meeting Coach Johnson and Coach Lee on that trip. So, man, what I just appreciated most about them, because they made me feel like they wanted me. Like I was recruited by a few other D3 schools in California, and a couple D3s outside of California as well too. But I just felt like I was gonna be a number over there, and I felt like Coach Johnson and the staff here really saw potential in me. So, that's kind of been a story throughout my entire football career. A lot of the coaches that I've been around, saw potential in me. So, when I saw that, like I was like, okay, yeah, I would be really interested in going to this school. So I did some research on like the school. I went. I was like, first of all, I saw it was Indiana, and I was
Yeah.
like, I've never been over here before, so I mean, I don't know how it is over here. And I know they get winters on. I'm not a winter kind of guy, but like the warm weather. But so I say, you know what? I mean, it won't hurt to me. I said it won't hurt to understand more about the school, hear about the school from him. So I ended up telling my folks about it. They were kind of skeptical because it was far away.
Yeah.
They rather me like being closer by and stuff like that. Moms didn't really want to see me leave the house yet. So I mean, which is fair, which is understandable. And my dad, it took some coming along for him too. I mean, but he just really wanted him. He saw what determination I had, and he wanted to see me play football again. So I mean, that was like his main thing with letting me handle I guess recruiting to schools and stuff like that. So he was along the way, just make sure he supported me, and make sure he just he wanted the best for me. So yeah, definitely.
How did you end up convincing your mom to come out to Earlham? I know you said she was. It took quite a while to get her on board to come out here.
No, it took a long time, man. It took a long time. My mom really, she understandably didn't really want me to go far away because she felt like she would have lost connection with me in a way.
Yeah.
So she was a little bit worried about that. So I mean, I just had to let her. I had to let her know that I'm a responsible young man. So I mean, I feel like I can handle myself out here, which I mean it takes when you a 18-year-old kid, your parents ain't really want to hear that from you. So so it took my mom's a long time to come around. She talked a lot with Coach Johnson and Coach Lee, and she had a lot of respect for them too. Met them when she came out here. They both came out here my freshman year to drop me off. They came and watched a few practices. So they met the staff. They felt welcome. And even when my mom came out here, she actually found her little antique shop. She's into arts and crafts. So she was she kind of felt more safe, not safe, but she felt more
Comfortable.
Comfortable, yeah. So it took a lot. It took a lot, pretty much, yeah.
But at the end of the day, you decided to come to Earlham. You said you did a little bit of research on the school. Did you know the history of the program before you got out here?
Not much, I didn't really know I know they had been losing games for a while, but I mean, I had no idea about the overall school record with football and stuff like that. I had no idea about that. But I mean, also I didn't really look at that too, because I mean, I had the mindset coming in that I wanted to change that. So I mean, I didn't really I didn't care too much about that. So I mean, to me, my mindset behind it was if I'm gonna go D3, I want to be somewhere I could play and make an impact. I wouldn't want to just go to a school where they got 200 dudes and I'm about to sit behind them for 3 years and stuff. I mean, if I'm a D3, I mean, I'm trying to get on the field. I mean, that's that. I think that was my motivation behind it too. So I mean, I really didn't care too much about that. I mean, I really saw optimism behind it. I felt like I would have did what I took. I feel like I knew I could do what I could. I could do what I can do to help move the team along, and help to better that record. Yeah.
So what was your first year like? And not just adjusting from high school to college, but going through another 0-10 season. So yeah, first year, what was that like for you?
That was pretty tough. That first year, we hung into some games. We were just a few plays. There was some games we were really a few plays away from making it a lot more interesting than it really was. I mean, I remember the Hiram game. I mean, it was a back and forth game for a while. I think we threw I want to say 3 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter, something like that. And, you know, I saw a lot of optimism moving through, you know, especially with the guys that were freshmen that played a lot. You know, I was pretty optimistic about, you know, us moving forward. Myself, I didn't start playing until like about later on in the season. I mean, I got a few spells here and there, like in the early portions of the season. I got my first start, I want to say the Bluffton game, which is probably about game 6 or 7 of the season. You know, still I kind of felt like like I did in that junior year a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still a little bit dazed a little bit. You know, it's my first time, like, I was moving from high school to, you know, college.
Yeah.
So, you know, bigger dudes, you know, much stronger competition, you know, better competition. So I was a little bit dazed by that for a sec, and I just wasn't prepared enough. I didn't watch enough film, so I knew that was something I needed to work on. So I ended up saying, look, I'm about to make sure I'm prepared for my opponent every single time. So ended up, like, towards the later end of the season, you know, I started watching more film. And I was even watching film in class, man. I mean,
hey.
Like, I did what I wanted. I did what I did, so like I could make the team better.
Yeah.
Like that's really like was my goals on it. Ended up during the off season, you know, I frequently went and go watch film with coaches. Make sure, like, you know, try to get lifts in, you know, try to make sure, you know, I could get myself as prepared, you know, for the upcoming season. Yeah.
Okay, so, you know, we're up. You know, we put in just as much work, I like to say, as, you know, other teams put in, and we weren't getting the wins that, you know, we felt like we were working so hard for. Do you feel like it had to do because we got 40 guys compared to teams having, you know, 120, and at the end of the day it was just a numbers game? Or do you feel like the teams were just that much better than us to where it didn't matter how much work we were putting in, we those were the results we were just going to end up getting?
So, you know, it's going to start in practice right here, right? So with having 40 guys in practice, that means that we're going to take on a lot of miles in practices than most teams. When you think about it, when we're going up against teams with, like, you know, 80, 100, 120 guys, you know, their guys coming out there, their starters and stuff, you know, their starters not playing as much practice times as we are. You know, they don't have guys, you know, playing offense, special teams, you know, they have specific teams set out for that. So right from the get-go right there, we're coming into the games like a lot more fatigued than most teams are. And with our small number size and our small size of a roster, that kind of like just deviated that issue a lot more, I would say. I think that that roster size came into play because, you know, when we're going out there, you know, putting a lot of work in, it just when you see the other team, you know, just bringing a whole new team, it's like it's kind of like demoralizing, you know. But I mean, at the same time, also, I mean, it does come back to, like, you know, some focus too as well too. You know, myself included, you know, I had times, you know, I lacked focus, and I mean, there was times, you know, we just lacked focus, you know, as a team, and that's detrimental. When you only have like a small amount of players, everybody has to be locked in and loaded like every single time, you know.
A point that I was interested in that you brought up to me when we were talking a little bit a few weeks ago was our wide receiver Jared, who that year was his first year, you know, joining the football team, and then after that, you know, I think he told you that it's hard, the stuff that we were doing, or what exactly did he say to you? Yeah, no,
so he said he kind of got an understanding of like what we had to go through, you know, with football.
Yeah.
So, you know, Jared hadn't played football since like high school, so, you know, he came out and, you know, joined the team. He was playing wide receiver for us, and he, you know, he had heard a lot of stuff that people were saying outside about football. So, you know, he was actually got to be on the inside. He actually got to know how it felt, how frustrating it was, and, you know, he told me he got like a lot of understanding, and like he had gained like a lot of respect for a lot of the guys on the team because, you know, he knew like we had to overcome like so much, like basically like being like on the outside looking in, you never really like consider stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when he came, like when he understood that, like he said his whole perspective changed.
At the end of the day, that year we ended up going 0-10, and the end of the season was real tough because the 2 days before our final game, we find out Coach Johnson won't be our coach next year, and then I want to say maybe the last week or maybe even the week before that, we started hearing some rumors that they're talking about maybe canceling the program. But one thing I heard was, they've always talked about that, and they never really gone through with it. Maybe we'll just get a new coaching staff. But 3 days after our last game, they bring us into a room and tell us that it is going to they're going to suspend the football program for the next season.
Yes.
What immediately went through your mind, or what immediately did you feel after they broke that news to us?
No, what immediately went through my mind, I mean, at that moment, like, I just felt like pretty like helpless in a way, because I had just gotten injured the game before that. So I was walking around the boot like I was just fed up with stuff, and then like to hear that too again, like it was just kind of like added insult to injury pretty much. So I was at that moment, I was like, I got to get out of here, like I couldn't stand this school no more. Like after that, like I just didn't want nothing to do with this place after that. Like I had developed a hatred for Earlham College. Yeah,
Rightfully so.
Like I actually, I felt betrayed because when you're an athlete, you commit to a school, you commit to a 4-year academic and an athletic experience as well too. So, I felt like they came up short with that, and I was very upset about that. Yeah.
You brought up that you felt betrayed by the school when their decision to cancel the program, and I was upset about the football program being canceled. I was kind of like, I really just came out here to play football after 1 year. Like, I'm stuck being a junior. I can't transfer. I got to get my degree and stuff like that.
Yeah.
One thing that shocked me is I didn't know how big the story was. Even before coming here, I never saw Coach Johnson's ESPN story and all that. So I didn't know that when the football program got canceled, it was going to hit national news like it did. Later that night, I'm seeing and hearing, guys that were on the team, doing interviews for, TV stations and local papers and stuff.
I did one.
Yeah, I know you did one
that,
for papers and stuff like that. I did one for Radio Troy. And then to see segments on ESPN and all that kind of stuff, I didn't know it was going to reach that kind of level. But also when it reached that level, we got killed for it. I remember seeing Barstool Sports, singling out some of our teammates and just start joking on them. And, other platforms, really lighting us up about this. But I think the biggest shocker came from how much backlash we got from our own peers, And like I told you, it's one thing to hear it from people you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know anything.
Yeah.
But as much scrutiny we took from the people on our own campus, they had this meme page on Facebook, I believe. I still never read it. I heard about it after, but some people were reading some of the stuff that they were saying to us, calling us dumb.
Yeah.
The football program deserved it. The guys suck, all that kind of stuff. And what is your reaction to that? Knowing that the people you may be sitting in class with, the people you go to school with, are saying all this negative stuff about the football players and the football team after everything that just happened.
Man, and, I had seen like this like firsthand experiences even like before we got canceled and stuff like that. So I feel like once everything happened, like people decided we're just gonna show ourselves even more. And it's unfortunate that people like I noticed a lot of stuff about this school. A lot of people tend to show like a very two-faced identity. People smile in your face, say what's up to you, next thing they're saying the worst stuff about you behind your back. So it just, to me, like, I ended up just get from when I had known about stuff like this going on, people had never like really came into our face, tell us this stuff. They always hide behind the computer screen and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up saying, you know what, I'm gonna be watching who I hang out with. So I always got my circle of dudes I'm always sitting with. So I always watch who I hang out with, because I know those dudes are the ones that's been here with me this whole time. So I'm gonna ride it out with those guys. So I just said, you know what, when people like, well, a lot of people that I know didn't really care about football, like, come up to me and say, oh man, I'm so sorry about what happened. So sorry about this. I'm like, yeah, all right, cool. I mean, you really don't care. I mean, you was just saying some stuff about us like way back when. So like, I mean, it's cool. It's cool. You ain't gotta come up to me and act like that. So I mean.
Oh yeah. So and I mean, you brought up the firsthand experience. I remember throughout the season, just the football team was the brunt of everybody's jokes from other teams that who were having a little bit more success than we did. My next question is that we go from the cancellation of the football program, and some people, after a while, and you still hear like the complaints about it being canceled, or even this past I think homecoming week when they made the decision that it's going to be another 2 years before they even relook at the program. You got some other athletes and some other students that tell us that it's just football, it's not life, it's just a game. What do you say to that? And what I tell people, like, it wasn't just about the game. I feel like getting the connections, to me personally, the team bonding, with the aspects of football that I miss the most. Of course you want to be on the field, but it's not just the game aspect; it's the bonding with your team, the alumni, and all the connections you make while playing the sport. What do you feel like what do you feel like you've missed the most since the football team has been suspended?
Man, I would say just going out there and suiting up with a bunch of dudes that they want to get after it.
Mm-hmm.
During my 2 years here, man, I've lost so many brothers. Like from freshman year, like with guys like just leaving and stuff. Like it's been like, I would say it's been like really just like saddening just to seeing how many people you come in here with, freshman year, and it's just no longer even here. I mean. And, I talked to a lot of seniors, like, before, we were here, and they were just like, yeah, man, I mean, it's just, like, kind of like how it's always been. Like, sometimes, like, we come in here our freshman year, we're, like, 20, 30 dudes, and, it's like senior day, it's 3 of us here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so, I mean, I would say one of the most hardest things is just, not being able, to put a helmet on Saturdays,
Yeah.
Like going out there and competing, like, was just a way, you could get away from like a lot of the troubles and stuff, you're going through and whatever. Like, just a way to get away, just like almost like a safe haven almost, And I think a lot of people don't really understand that. Everybody has their own like safe haven. Everybody has their own like, place where they go, when they want to get away. Like football field was like, where a lot of us guys, we went because we wanted to get away. We loved it. So, I mean, but a lot of people don't understand that, But, I mean, that's just, I feel like for people to make judgments on that, that's pretty ignorant,
Mm-hmm.
So.
And one thing we saw after the announcement came is a lot of our teammates took off, and I don't blame them. They left real quick, and then some came back for another semester and then left after that. You brought up that you were close to transferring out of here. You looked at different schools. I remember talking to you during the summer, and you were still up in the air about whether to come back or go to another school and continue playing football. At the end of the day, you decided to come back and come back to Earlham and just get your education. Why decide to come back rather than transferring and possibly continuing to play football for another 2 years?
So this was a hard answer, question, man.
Yeah.
I didn't just wake up, one day just like, man, like I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna give up, like, or not necessarily give up, but I'm not gonna move forward with football at the moment. That just took a lot of time. I had to like swallow a lot of pride in me and like too. Like, I mean, I was sitting around my parents, a big thing about it was health reasons why. I had just injured my knee for the second time like in my football career.
Yeah.
So I mean, and it was a pretty rough injury. Still doing like the rehab and stuff on it right now. So I mean, that came into play. My mom's, she also wanted to see me not play. Not necessarily she wanted to see me not play, but she wanted to see me as healthy as I could be.
Mm-hmm.
And like at the current state, I was working out, through the spring, through the summer. I worked out. I had 3 schools in consideration. I was thinking about. Didn't even want to think about Earlham College after the end of the semester. So wanted to go to Ohio Wesleyan, Cal Lutheran, or Whittier College. 2 of those schools are in California. Ohio Wesleyan is in Ohio.
Yeah.
So, you took me and Rance on that trip.
Mm-hmm.
When we went taking a visit to Ohio Wesleyan. Liked the facilities. Felt welcomed by the coaching staff. We met the head coach, met the offensive line coach. Met a lot of the coaching staff, met some of the players. I felt like those guys wanted to get down with football. Looked at the facilities and I was like amazed like how much better their facilities was than places here. So I mean, it kind of opened my eyes like to a lot of stuff that like I would say like I wish like I looked at as a freshman. Whether it be like the weight facilities. I mean. How a college weight room should look, and stuff like that. I mean, I wish I had thought about that stuff when I was like, a freshman.
Yeah.
So over the summer, started working, and I was in pretty good contact with the coach at Ohio Wesleyan, offensive line coach, great dude. He ended up sending me the workout package. So I mean, I ended up doing workouts with him. Not with them, but like I did the workouts at home. So I was trying to like better myself, make sure I was ready to go. Through the whole summer, like I had the mindset, look, man, I need to touch the field again. Like, so I work like that, make sure like I try to work as hard as I could, but it just didn't, for whatever reason, it just didn't feel right. Like that, I compared it to the summer before, like when sophomore year coming into Earlham. I remember the fire and drive that I had, like to play the game. The extensions that I went to go to make sure I was better to play the game. And I just looked at myself in the face and I was like, I didn't work as hard enough as I did, going to Earlham.
Yeah.
I didn't work. That summer compared to the summer before, that summer compared to the summer before, I looked at myself and I said I didn't work hard enough.
Okay.
Like, and I was like, if I didn't work hard enough, I didn't have confidence in myself. And I looked at myself and I was like, I didn't want to come into a situation where I didn't have the opportunity to play. Where I wasn't gonna be. I'm not asking for a coach to give me the opportunity to play. Of course not. But I wanted to be able to compete and play, and I just felt like I wasn't in the best of shape to be able to compete. I went to the park a few times. I hit the sled, and I felt like my legs wasn't as strong as they were. Like, or they weren't as strong as they needed to be. Like I couldn't move. I couldn't move as well as I could have before, and it was I tried to push myself, but for whatever reason, like I just had that block in my head, that mental barrier, And on top of that, I still was going through some knee pains from my injury. I wasn't taking as good as care of that as I really should have. I'm be front about that. And I didn't want to go into a situation where I'm playing and then I'm playing to not get injured. And that's how you get injured.
Right.
So I was like, I don't know if I had the confidence in myself. I sat down with my pops, he talked me through it. He said he didn't force nothing on me. So, he just said, I mean, you're making some good points. You have to know when you're right and you have to know when you're ready. And I just felt like I knew I wasn't, I wasn't right and I wasn't ready to play again at that moment. So I just had to turn down the offers that I had. I decided to come back and, just turn the route and, try to make sure I could do whatever I could to better myself academically.
Yeah.
Still one of the toughest decisions I've ever made in my life, really. It's kind of sad going back and looking at it right now. As a college student, you would hope you never really have to make a decision like this when you go into school.
Yeah.
But, it's life. And, it was a tough choice, but, I'm here now. So, I got to, just make the most of what I got right now, and just basically just go with it. Yeah.
I feel that, and that's what I mean. I feel like when they suspended the program, they put the players in a very tough position. Because, one thing you hear about this school, it's hard to get in credit-wise, and your credit's hard to get out.
Yeah.
And, some of our guys transferred. Like I said, I felt like the juniors, we were kind of stuck, knowing that we got 3 semesters left. There really ain't no point leaving. Just stay here and get our degrees and stuff like that. And, telling us what 3 weeks ago before the end of the semester, some guys were able to find schools.
Yeah, some guys were able to find schools, man. Definitely commend those guys.
For how they did that, I don't know. But they found it quick. Some guys, had to come back a semester, then leave. And they said very few of us are still here, and so that's why I feel like it was a tough. They put us in a very tough spot, and the best thing to do coming back is to take advantage of everything you can. Like I said, I've taken advantage of everything possibly Earlham has to offer since coming back and not being able to play football. You got 3 semesters left after this one, since this one's pretty much over. You got 3 semesters left to get your degree. What are you hoping to do after you graduate, or what's the interest in the career field that you're trying to go through?
I want to at some point go into financial advising role. Currently doing finance for my track, so just this semester, I've been trying to immerse myself. Talk to a lot of professors. Try to gain some industry knowledge, gain any type of knowledge I can, to be somewhat successful as I can be. Try to make myself competitive, because after here, it's like adult, got the real world to get to.
Yeah, got the real world.
So in the perfect world, I'd love to work for a little bit and then I don't know, try to coach football or something. Because or I would like to start a business soon. Not sure exactly what type of business, but I would love to start a business up at some point. Doing a lot of competitions with Rance and Kyle. We just did a competition for the Hulk. We're gonna do a competition for the Earlham Grand Challenge in the spring semester. We just try tap into the entrepreneurial spirit here. We got good professors, that help lead us the way. So just trying to really just make the most of what we got. Take advantage of all the opportunities the school has. School does have a lot of opportunities academic wise. So that's just career wise. Yeah, we'd like to see if I could get into some financial advisor type role. At the same time, I never did that job yet. So who knows? Who really knows? Who really knows what? So only God knows really. So we just gonna have to just put our head down, work, just hope and pray for the best, man.
Well, one thing you got some more time to figure out all this stuff. You say it's got another year in another semester to really narrow it down and learn and grow and learn as many skills as possible. And Aaron, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Everybody who tuned in, appreciate you tuning in, listening. You got to hear some of the tough decisions that Aaron had to make in order to come back to this school, and the whole football situation. You got to understand a little bit more about that through a player's point of view and a player's mindset, and how it felt getting scrutinized by your own peers. I appreciate everybody who keeps tuning in to all the videos. We're gonna have more content up for you as soon as possible, and like to wish everybody a good day.